doesn't have quite the same. How are you? Good to see you, Nico. It doesn't have the same resonance when they're not in the space. Let's see. Are we good? Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. I just want to note that the music that you just heard was from the Upper School Instrumental Ensemble. They recorded a number of songs for us to be using over the course of the weekend because we don't have our live music capabilities as much these days. But so they did a great job with some of the school songs, and I hope you enjoyed that. So good morning. My name's Tom Flemma, and I am the head of school here at North Shore. It's my pleasure to welcome you back to campus or to welcome you here for the first time. We have alumni, former faculty and staff, current parents, parents of alumni with us today, and you are all very welcome. I'm looking forward to chatting with you as much as I can over the course of the weekend and hearing about your own North Shore stories. And when I say that we are happy to have you here on campus, I really mean it. We are opening back up to the world again, not entirely, to be sure, but on a day-to-day basis, the student experience is full and vibrant and in person. Having a homecoming where we get to welcome our alumni and friends, where we get to compete and cheer and celebrate, feels like a real achievement in this crazy time. So thank you for coming, thank you for joining us. We have a lot of activities over the course of the day that you'll hear more about a little bit later. Before we start, I'd like to offer a particular welcome to all of those classes celebrating reunions with us this year, especially the classes of 1970 and 1971, who are celebrating their 50th reunions. Some of you just a little bit later than you thought you would be. It's wonderful to have you all back on campus. I really hope you like what you see over the course of the weekend. So this morning event is called the Raider Review, but I like to think of it as a sort of state of the school address. It's a great opportunity to pause and reflect and report to the entire Raider Nation how we are doing. And to that end, I'm very proud and greatly relieved to report to you that the state of the school in our 103rd year is remarkably strong. Well, why is that? How is that possible? We're in the midst of a global pandemic, and the divisions in our nation and across the world seem like they're stronger than any time in recent memory. Well, there's one simple reason that North Shore is thriving despite all of the headwinds, and that's the dedication and support of the entire extended North Shore community. You are a big part of that. It's the combined efforts of these community members that make this place what it is, and what has enabled us to not only survive the upheavals of COVID, but to thrive despite them. Also, how do we know that the school is strong? There's a few things that we can point to. Let's change the slide, please. First, we opened this school with 545 students, the most ever in our history. And that number might be shocking to some of you who were here in previous eras, but I'm not surprised. To me, it signifies above all that the heroic work of our faculty and staff from last year to keep our students safe and in school and learning for the entire year. This was no small feat, and it came at a significant cost of dollars and hours and energy. But through the various stages of the pandemic, North Shore has shown a remarkable ability to adapt and to pivot. And I think that's another marker of strength for a school today. I would suggest that the ability of North Shore to adapt to periods of remote learning, hybrid learning, concurrent learning, in-person but still COVID-inflected and masked learning, and doing all of those well, speaks to our core strength and even to our history. I remember Larry Agins once telling me a story about a huge tree that needed to come down on the campus. Rather than hire a tree company, Perry Dunlap Smith turned it into a 3-day lesson and had the students take down the tree themselves. And besides the ghastly liability issues that I think of that raising, it's just an example of how creative the pedagogy and can-do spirit of North Shore has been since its founding. Larry Agins suggested that it was just that Perry Dunlap Smith was cheap and he didn't want to hire an arborist, but I believe that it signifies something larger. Today it means the teaching over Zoom during a crisis, or throwing that day's lesson plan out the windows to discuss the events of the day. That's what North Shore does. And as we do that, next slide please, we like to summarize the way that we approach these sort of efforts by referencing these core concepts, what we call our pillars: connecting, challenging, engaging, and exploring. I hope that every one of you can look at these principles and recognize your own North Shore education, whether it was 10 years ago or 60 years ago, whether it was Mr. Steele or Frau Lando or Mr. Almquist, or Mr. Allison, Mac McCarty, Mrs. McHugh, Mrs. Wood, Ms. Hill, Mr. Jessen, Mrs. Rogers, Mrs. Hunt, Mr. Ingram, or any hundreds of other impactful teachers. At North Shore, these teachers engage all of these elements in the way that they teach. Combining them together means that the learning is dynamic and engaging and impactful today, just like it was for you. Next slide, please. What does that mean in practice? Well, it's a blend of all of the traditional elements of a North Shore education: academics, arts, athletics, and service, but also employing the latest research in brain science, child development, pedagogy, and technology. The arts remain fundamental to who we are. Service is being woven throughout the JK-12 curriculum through the work of our service learning coordinator, Drea Gallagher, and with the benefit of our new Live and Serve laboratory in the Hall Library. Participation in athletics and our success in interscholastic competition are both impressive. Art and music are vibrant JK-12, and our upper school students are still required to participate in 2 main stage productions in their time here. You can ask them about it in a little while if you like. In all of these areas of school life, students learn to work together, to seek answers, pose questions, care for others, and become independent thinkers and creators. They are guided by master teachers who combine discipline knowledge and classroom skills to help their students reach heights they never thought was possible. So then what's next? We always have to ask, what's next? And as we slowly emerge from the fog of COVID-19, our efforts to steadily improve as a school will continue. When I wrote to our parents this summer, I identified a few key priorities for this academic year. Number 1 was building connection. One of the main casualties of the pandemic has been our ability to be together, to share ourselves, our interests, our passions. In a place like North Shore, any hindrance in that effort is a big deal. And even while we were able to provide students and families with the stability and structure of school, it still wasn't quite the same. We're dedicated this year to restoring those connections across students, teachers, parents, alumni, and friends, to amplify and augment the learning that happens here each day. This weekend is one very important step on that journey. Another is our continuing work to augment and increase the inclusivity of our school. And as we do that, we'll continue those efforts that we've begun to make us more diverse and equitable and inclusive. This is not a new priority. Though some of our language and our approaches continue to evolve with current research, our purpose to prepare students to become, quote, self-evident ethical citizens of the world remains the central driver of this work. Helping students understand their own identity, the experiences of those who identify differently than they do, and why those experiences may differ, is central to the progressive model of education and its focus on developing the whole child. Further, we know that being able to understand self and others and effectively communicate and collaborate across differences is one of the fundamental skills our students will need to thrive in the years to come. We also believe that it's the right thing to do. Next slide. Oh, actually that slide. Thank you. Being able to authentically engage with others isn't just about facts and figures, it's a skill. And it's a skill that can be intentionally developed. As we think about the way we prepare kids for college and for life, we are ever more focused on the skills and mindsets that are the extension of content knowledge. When information was scarce and difficult to find, the accumulation of knowledge could be considered the mark of intelligence by itself. Today, when much of the world's accumulated knowledge is available on our iPhones and our laptops every day, the defining characteristics of education will shift. It will be the ability to assess the glut of information that we all live in and apply knowledge to an unfamiliar situation, like safely removing a tree from the school campus. More than ever, the success of this rising generation of students will depend on their ability to think critically and creatively, to communicate effectively, to have empathy, and to collaborate with others across various fields of study. These are skills, invaluable ones, that North Shore has taught for a century and that will never go out of style. Our faculty and staff spent months analyzing and cataloging the curriculum, JK through 12, identifying the core skills that they want to emphasize across disciplines and divisions. These are not revolutionary, but they are fundamental. This year, we will finalize our language around essential skills and begin to orient our curriculum and pedagogy and assessments even more intentionally around them. We're putting a particular emphasis on our work this year on our approach to STEM topics and disciplines. With the rapid changes in science and technology around us, it's time to assess our work in these fields to make sure that we remain ahead of the curve. And while this list is not exhaustive, obviously, each category has subcategories and such. Together they capture the intellectual and human skills that make a rater a rater. And of course, if we are doing our job, we're supporting our mission and its exhortation for us to all live and serve. And finally, on the facilities front, I'm excited to report that we've begun examining how we can renovate and expand the MAC gym. As you'll surely see this weekend, our athletic teams are performing at a high level. To support those teams and to support all 545 of our students for PE, indoor recess, and wellness programs, we're going to need some more space and some reconceptualized space. If you might have noticed on your tours, or you will later today, most of the school has been renovated in the last 10 to 15 years to support the pedagogy of our wonderful teachers. Our athletic facilities, beginning with the MAC gym, are the next piece of our campus puzzle. Look for more information on this in the months ahead. It will take a lot of conversation and a lot of dollars to achieve, but our work will serve generations of Raiders to come. So right now, besides the fact that you're saying, wow, this is going longer than I thought, you might also be saying that it sounds like there's a lot going on, and that's true. Despite the pressures of the pandemic, we're dedicated to moving the school forward, as generations have done before us, sometimes in their own times of crisis. But through it all, we are working hard to keep our eye on the ball and ensure that North Shore students are getting the best possible education. So, how are we doing? You don't need to take my word for it. Who better to answer that question than some of our students themselves? So we're fortunate to have some of our seniors with us today who are happy to answer your questions about life at North Shore today. We'll do this for maybe about 15 minutes, and then we'll keep going with the rest of our program. So would you all like to come on up and have a seat? we are going to hear from all of these folks, and they are going to be moderated by Lindsay Wolin Casey, who is the assistant head of the upper school, a French teacher, and 1,000 other jobs here at North Shore. So, Lindsay, I'll leave it to you.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'm actually going to take this out and sit with the kids. Welcome. As you will notice up here, we have kids who are in sports gear. It's homecoming, and Paris and Charlize have just been out with the Little Raiders, and Liliana might have to duck out a little bit early because the volleyball game got moved up. And then we have Andrew here too, who will be our stalwart, staying here with us. Jamie was not able to make it because he forgot that he had an SAT today. So there's a lot going on this weekend, but here we are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of the students to introduce themselves, tell us when they came to North Shore, and also the activities they've been involved in. Then I have 2 other questions to ask, and after that we'll turn it over to questions from you. All right? So if you want to start, Liliana, and introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, my name is Liliana Green. I've been at North Shore since junior kindergarten. And at North Shore, I've been a part of the volleyball team, obviously, since my freshman year. And the track team, or technically Girls on the Run in 5th grade, and the track team all throughout middle school and high school. And I've helped organize lots of sporting events for volleyball and also for basketball.
Hi, my name is Paris Fear. I've been going to North Shore since 9th grade, and I'm currently a senior. Some of the activities that I'm currently involved in is, as Madame mentioned before, I am on the field hockey team. I'm also involved in student council, and I am on the community service board for the upper school.
Hello, I'm Charlize. I have been coming to North Shore since freshman year as well. And like Madam Wilkins said, and Paris mentioned, and hence the uniform, I'm also in the field hockey team and have also been part of the girls soccer team.
Hello, my name is Andrew Shing. I've been here since 5th grade, and I've been involved in track and field since middle school. I played soccer in middle school as well. I have participated in Model UN, and I've also both competed, and I'm now currently coaching in Science Olympiad, so quite a bit.
That's great. Thank you all. My first question really is, what defines the North Shore experience for you?
I think for me, what really defines the North Shore experience is that combination between both a collaborative learning environment where you can work with your peers, and also a very academically challenging environment where you're encouraged to explore your own interests and kind of find your own.
Yeah, for me, I would say it's the sense of community. Before coming to North Shore, I didn't really think you could have such thing at school, and I really think that in North Shore, you can find that not only in the classroom, but also in athletics.
I would echo Charlize with the sense of community. I have friends all across grades here, and I think that's something that's really unique to North Shore. And I'd also like to mention that I think we're pushed in and out of the classroom. Inside the classroom, we're pushed to consider more traditional learning topics, but outside of the classroom, we're pushed to actually push these learning topics into real life and apply them.
I think for me, it's definitely the people. Like I said before, I have been here since junior kindergarten, making me a lifer. And for those of you who don't know, our class has 11 lifers this year, which is a 5th of our grade. And looking at that and knowing that I've known these people for 13 or 14 years of my life is an incredible thing that you could only find at North Shore.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Now, as Tom talked about, and as you know, North Shore requires that students participate in athletics and in the arts, as well as academics. So as you all think about that, what has that experience been like for the 4 of you, or for your classmates? How have you seen that play out for yourselves and your classmates?
Well, for sports, if you were here last night at all and heard extreme cheering from the MAC gym, that was the very intense varsity match for homecoming. We went to 3 sets, and the student section was going crazy. It was basically just an extreme reflection of sports at North Shore. Everyone is so supportive of every other sport. So many students will come out to support other teams, especially during homecoming with these huge matches. And I think also lots of organized fundraisers happen for sports too, like Dunk Alzheimer's, the basketball bash that happens in January, and Dig Pink that is happening in 3 weeks for volleyball that raises money for breast cancer awareness. I think those two things really reflect community, which is a big pillar of North Shore, but also just the sense of all coming together for a huge cause at North Shore. I think it's a big part of what this school is.
To be honest, I had never picked up a field hockey stick before 9th grade. I was a competitive swimmer, but I was required to do a sport, and at the meeting before coming to North Shore, when I was still in 8th grade, a parent recommended to me that I join the field hockey team. And to be honest, I was a little apprehensive about this at first because it was a sport that I'd never played before, but it ended up truly being one of the best decisions I've made in my time at North Shore. I've made some of my best friends on the team, and I've really gotten to bond with people all across grade levels.
Yeah, similar to Paris, I had also never heard of field hockey, and the sports requirement kind of forced me to push out into my boundaries. One of the reasons I chose field hockey was because it was the most similar to soccer. And at first, I thought I was going to be a field player and ended up on the other side of the goal as goalkeeper, something I'm extremely glad about because that's a position I've built some strong friendships with. And I also think of the theater requirements. I'm typically a shy person, really quiet. And if you were to tell me I would be on stage for our Beauty and the Beast musical, I would have said there's no way. But it was a great experience, and I'm really glad I did it.
Kind of going off of Charlize, I think a lot of the community really supports a lot of the activities that go on. A lot of people come out to see the musicals, the plays. Even last night, there was an open mic night, and a lot of people came out. So I think there really is this kind of sense of encouragement and community that kind of wants you to step out of your boundaries, try something new, whether that be in theater or sports or even an academic interest. The community really supports you in your decisions to do what you want.
So just briefly, so Charlize, you were in Beauty and the Beast, so that was one of your, I mean, what I have up here is Jamie was really my theater person, so we don't have like someone who's all in, but all of you participated. So what all did you do as your theater requirement? Charlize, you were in Beauty and the Beast. Andrew?
I was also in Beauty and the Beast.
I was in Beauty and the Beast, and then also to meet one of my arts requirements, I participated in chorus, which I had never done before. And I came in being really shaky about my own singing skills. But coming out of the class, I really recognized how it helped me with public speaking and a whole multitude of other skills. So I'm really forever grateful for that experience and that I was able to push myself in a setting that I had not previously been comfortable in.
And I participated in the stage adaptation of Clue, which was the fall play my sophomore year. And I got to be a police officer whose head was chopped off, and it was a very fun experience. And just the experience of acting on this stage with all the lights in this theater is so exciting. And even though I was really nervous and had to practice slowing down when I was talking on stage, it was a really fun experience. And I also got to do crew, which was really fun because I got to be up in the light booth, which is something that I dreamed of when I was little and sitting in this auditorium. And I also was a part of the band for a really long time at North Shore, which is just an experience in itself because you're sitting around all your peers who are playing different instruments, and we had a really wide variety of music that we got to play. And so we played everything from Sweet Caroline to Van Morrison. We played Moondance, and I got to experience lots of different music, while also just being able to be surrounded by this sound that all my peers were creating, and it was a very cool experience.
Thank you all. Could Mr. Ortiz, can we have the lights up just a little bit so we can see if there are any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
Could you tell us what your college plans are? Because you'll be graduating pretty soon.
All right.
Yeah, so early decision is coming up, and so if you're doing early decision, that will be something that I'll be applying to soon. And we work with the college counselors. We start our junior year, I think middle of junior year, we start working with the college counselors to sort of see what we're looking for in a college. And we participated in the end of our junior year in a virtual boot camp that taught us how to basically write our Common App application or our essay. And I'd like to give a shout out to the English department here because I think we have a really strong English department in both the middle and the high school, and especially Mrs. McHugh's junior year English class that pushed my writing to another level that made me feel ready to write a Common App essay.
And what college are you going to apply for?
I'm looking at lots of East Coast schools. I'm thinking NYU, Barnard, lots of places in the city. I grew up in Chicago, and so I'm really a city kid. Maybe I think Boston University also, Brown, and I think North Shore will get me to those places.
I would echo Liliana, and personally, I know Middlebury is a really big hit for North Shore, and we send a lot of people there, and so I really like Middlebury.
And again, what's your college choice?
Oh, Middlebury College.
Yep.
And
And I think at this point, our focus at North Shore is really on the process and finding the right place. So not everyone is going to apply early decision. So I think for them to talk about what they're generally thinking about, but not necessarily, I mean, you don't have to, I mean, some of you might not have this is what I want to do, but.
Yeah, specific college, if that's fine, I would like to keep it to myself. But I'm also looking at a lot of colleges on the East Coast. And if it's helpful, I'm looking to major into like mechanical engineering or aerospace.
I'm kind of in the same boat, actually not really, but I think I've been looking at a lot of schools, I think all across the US. So I think a lot of them have come up since I'm planning to do something related to sustainability and then also with a little bit of business. So I think some schools like USC or NYU and then also UMichigan have been in my pool of schools that I've been looking at. And I think a lot of it, though, I'd like to focus on the fact that it's really about the school encourages you to find a place that you feel that you'll be able to make your home for the next 4 years. So,
Thank you. Is there there's another question down here. I thought I saw. Yes, over there, sir. Yeah. So I think if any of you wanted to address sort of right at the beginning of the pandemic and then sort of how things have been and how it might have been different for you or something that came up that was interesting.
Yeah, so right at the beginning of the pandemic, obviously we went online for school and we were not able to be in person from about March of 2020 through the end of the year. And when we got back in August, there were things that we were not able to do, and we had a different schedule. So we had a 4-hour school schedule where we just went from class to class instead of having traditional community times and times when we would all be together. And I really felt the effects of not having those times. However, I'm really grateful that this year we were able to incorporate those community times such as morning X and community gatherings back into the schedule.
Also, when we went online, it was a scary process. We didn't really know what was going on, but I think the teachers did a really good job of adapting really quickly to virtual learning. Both my parents are teachers, and my dad actually is Mr. Green, the 3rd grade teacher who has worked here for 27 years, 28 years, and being able to see him interact with 3rd graders online is is incredible because third graders are 8 years old and they don't have that long of an attention span, but he was able to engage them online for an entire day, which was really cool. And the high school teachers as well were really good at being able to engage their students online. And then when we went to hybrid, it was different and not how I pictured my high school experience, but it worked out really well. And like Paris said, now we're able to go back to semi-normal and be able to interact with a lot more of our peers this year.
Thank you. Do we have time for one more question? One more question. Or not? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you all for joining us here today.
Thank you all so much. Every time I get to listen to our students, when I can close my mouth and listen to them, I learn something, and I'm just continually amazed and impressed by all of the kids here. So, okay. Moving on in our program, one of the traditional elements of this morning's address is the acknowledgement of our annual Stanton Recognition recipient. Each year, the Alumni Association Board presents the Francis R. Stanton Alumni Recognition to an alumnus or alumna whose life work exemplifies the school's motto, live and serve. The Francis R. Stanton Recognition recipient is selected based on lifetime commitment and dedication to his or her profession, community service, or a combination of volunteer and professional activities, and honors Francis Stanton, class of 27, who served the school selflessly for decades in numerous capacities. It is my pleasure to introduce Naomi Hattori, North Shore class of 2002, and the president of the Alumni Board, to introduce this year's Stanton Recognition recipient.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to campus for those of you who haven't been on campus for a long time. I was sitting here listening to the student panel and was so glad that I wasn't on Madame's panel because I thought she would ask me about my French fluency, which is not so great right now. We hosted the class of 2006 last night, and they kept me up a little late, so hopefully I can be a little bit more articulate than I was a little bit earlier this morning. Well, on behalf of the Alumni Board, I'm so honored to present the Francis R. Stanton 1927 Alumni Recognition Award to W. Rockwell Rocky, where it's class of 1971. Rocky serves as chairman of the Chicago Blackhawks and president of Wirtz Corporation since 2007, where his role extends to a vast array of businesses from sports and beverage distribution to entertainment, real estate, agriculture, and banking. Rocky grew up within the walls of the storied Chicago Stadium and oversaw the team's historic Stanley Cup championship victories in 2010, 2013, and 2015. Rocky also serves as a member of the National Hockey League's executive and audit committees. Rocky has led the family's beverage business since 1980 and has provided strategic vision, commitment to investment, and time-honored focus on running a value-driven business. Recognizing his many contributions to the beverage industry, the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America honored Rocky with a Lifetime Leadership Award in 2014. Wirtz Realty has developed properties in Illinois for decades, and the company owns and manages over 20 commercial and residential properties along Chicago's lakefront and throughout the suburbs. Rocky also oversees Wirtz family banking interests in the Chicago and Miami areas, as well as their agriculture and entertainment holdings, including the United Center, home of the Chicago Blackhawks and Chicago Bulls. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Rocky transformed the building into a relief hub to support regional response efforts. Above all else, Rocky is most proud to lead his family's commitment to numerous civic and charitable organizations. His dedication to the Chicago Blackhawks Foundation and its mission to create a healthier, smarter, more secure world for families in and around Chicago is unwavering. The foundation has donated millions of dollars to dozens of organizations focused on youth programs, education, housing, and health and wellness. His volunteer efforts are impactful. He's a member of the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago and serves as board chair of the Field Museum and a trustee of Northwestern University, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science in Communications in 1975. For North Shore, Rocky has given generously of his time, talent, and resources that have significantly strengthened all aspects of the school. He has continuously served the school in critical and key leadership roles as a trustee and foundation board member through steadfast and generous contributions in support of program, faculty, students, and facilities, and as an insightful and valued advisor to this day. Additionally, he was an active school parent for his 3 children, Danny, class of 95, Hillary, class of 97, and Kendall, class of 2004. He and his children are NSCD lifers. Rocky brings new meaning to the word lifer with all the decades of meaningful service and commitment to North Shore since he graduated in 1971. His impressive career, deep commitment, and dedication to support, enhance, and provide for those in need, and build stronger communities exemplifies the school model of live and serve. North Shore Country Day School proudly presents the 2021 Francis R. Stanton Class of 1927 Alumni Recognition to Rocky Wirtz Class of 1971.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It is nice to be back up on this stage again. I wasn't very good when I was, though. When Tom Flummock called me and talked to me about the Francis R. Stanton recognition, I told him there were far more worthy individuals that deserve to be recognized. The more I tried to convince him otherwise, the more he was not going to take no for an answer. So here I am today. Yesterday, we toured different classrooms that brought back fond memories. In reflecting back the first day of school as a kindergartner, I remember what like it was yesterday. Gazing up the staircase, I looked up at the 3rd floor, wondering if I could ever reach the top. Each building brought back wonderful thoughts and reflections. In lower school, lining up for Dr. Phillipsborn, looking down your throat to make sure you weren't sick, or those constantly annoying fire drills. Yes, North Shore prepared you for college if you wanted to go that route. But what did North Shore really teach us? It taught us how to give back to society, how to help those in need for the short and long term, how to get along with others, no matter where they came from. It taught you how to relate to classmates, friends, coworkers, and the most important, to your customers, whomever they may be. On behalf of my wife, Marilyn, my children, and my grandchildren, thank you very much for this wonderful recognition.
Thank you, Naomi, and thank you, Rocky, for all that you've done for North Shore, for the city of Chicago for so many years. I'm going to get my notes back here. And thanks, Naomi, not only for my notes, but for your work leading the Alumni Board, and Rocky for your lifetime of service. Okay, we have another wonderful alumni ambassador with us today who exemplifies how the core skills of a North Shore education translate to our increasingly interdisciplinary world. Nico Gibson, class of '06, is responsible for redesigning the look of our Raider mascot, updating it to be more modern and a little more fierce. So we are fortunate to have Nico with us here today, and I'd like to invite him up to the stage.
Hello. I'll wait to my, oh, there you go. Whoa, what an act to follow. It's an honor to share the stage with you. I unfortunately do not have the accolades you do, and I never will, but that's okay. I also like to give a quick shout out to my daughter who's in the back, Mila. Hi, Mila. Hola. She's 3 years old, and I haven't heard her yell once, so that is pretty phenomenal. Cool. So, my name is Nico Gibson. I'm a graduate of the 2006 class. I was a lifer from JK all the way through 12th grade. Most of my stuff is gonna be off the cuff. I'm not quite as prepared as everybody else that was here, so just take that as it is. I was born in Spain. I came here with my mother, who is from Chicago. Didn't know where to go. My father was paying the bills in part of the settlement, so my mom sent me here, which was probably the best decision she's ever made in her life. While I was here, basketball and tennis were my big time sports. I continue to play tennis to this day, and I walked on tennis team in college at St. Louis University. So sports has always been a kind of a big piece of me. And I wanted to speak really quickly. Well, the kids left for good reason, but I was so impressed to sit on stage and talk like that in front of a group of people like us. I just was dumbfounded because I know I'm going to do way worse than they did, and they're 16, 15, 17 years old. It was just phenomenal. I think the kids that were here embody the value of North Shore, at least from my perspective. And I want to talk really quickly before I present the logo and just kind of the thoughts behind it and we have fun. I wanted to talk a little bit about what specifically North Shore meant to me from my perspective. So when I came from Spain, I was young, it was traumatic in a lot of ways, and I didn't have a community to fall back on. So I landed in this school. I can actually remember my JK, SK buddy, who would have been a 12th grader at the time. They put me with the Spanish exchange student. And I just remember that little step, I don't know if that would have happened anywhere else, just to help me find home and to help me find comfort. So with that being said, to me, the number one thing that North Shore brings is a sense of belonging. I think I was so impressed by the new statistics of the school that Tom showed before in terms of diversity and the amount of different perspectives that we're bringing to the table. I think it's wonderful. So belonging, I was pretty quiet in school. I never was one to be on stage, definitely never one to talk after Rocky Wirtz, for instance, but it started to seed a sense of belonging for me. And maybe that confidence didn't flourish while I was here at school, but I think the seeding that took place at North Shore flourished when I left North Shore. And I think that's really where you see kind of the amazingness that happens at North Shore in a person. It doesn't necessarily have to happen within these walls. It happens sometimes after we leave here. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in a little bit to what I did and exactly why I'm here today. So my background is in brand design. I didn't go to school for design, but I learned design kind of behind the 8 ball in late hours at my first job at a big ad agency in Chicago called Leo Burnett. From then, I jumped to a couple different locations, and now I'm a senior brand design lead at IDEO, which is a large design thinking consultancy that works with really big corporations around the world. The number one thing that we talk to people about, and the number one thing that I talk to young designers about, is trying to simplify things down, reduce, be reductive. But the core thing that we're always trying to design is for a sense of belonging. And I really want to talk on that a little bit as we move into the Raider Mark. The best way to create energy, sorry, that's my daughter, there she is. The best way to create emotional connection is to design for a sense of belonging. It's more than inclusion. A lot of times we say, let's design for inclusion, let's include. But inclusion is just opening a door. It's just opening the gate. Sometimes inclusion means like welcoming people in. But for the person to take a step in and for a person to find their place, they have to feel like they belong. So a lot of times we talk to other designers and other creatives, it's not good enough just to be inclusive. It's about belonging. So can we go to the next page? I think somebody's going to do that for me. Oh, cool. So when I say design for a sense of belonging, the academic route, which is definitely not my route, I'm way more intuitive than I am academic, would be, I'm going to read off the screen, sorry, would be spaces, roles, rituals, processes, and experiences. This is how we would design for belonging. We would look at one of these areas and figure out, how can we create ritual for the Chicago Blackhawks when people are coming into the stadium for the first time? So they feel, the fan base feels a sense of belonging to a ritual, right? Next slide. For me, though, I like to simplify things. And I like to, for young designers and people not in the creative field to understand, this designing for a sense of belonging can mean really basic things. Designing for a sports team so that you feel like you're part of their fanship. Designing for a store. We all have stores that we love, stores that we connect with, stores that we want to spend time in. Hotels. Just like the lobby area of a hotel is a very inviting, warm place. You want to design a sense of belonging. Your job space. Entertainment. We belong to our shows, right? We see them every night. So the branding behind those is actually reason to belong. And learning. Next, please. Awesome. Which brings me to this guy. This was the old Raider logo. And while it did a lot of things right for us for a very long time, it also didn't hit the mark when we speak to belonging. It doesn't relate to one student on campus because nobody can see themselves in him, right? First off, it's a him. And our best sports teams well, I was here at least, were female driven, right? Second off, none of us have beards when we're in high school. Nah, I'm just joking. But a lot of it's about seeing yourself in a mirror as a brand and reflecting back to your audience. Next slide, please. Cool. So when I looked at that logo, I got a call from Tora, who said, like, we're in dire need we updated our school logo. Can you help us update the athletic logo? It was one of the first times in my life that I was like, I can't believe that North Shore even remembers who I was, or that they still have my phone number. But I was so honored to take a look. These are some of the words that I write when thinking about how we can evolve something. It doesn't just have to be a logo, it could be tone of voice or language for a brand. The things that really stuck out to me here were simplicity, so being really reductive. Gender neutrality was huge for me, especially now that I'm a girl dad. It was like the number one thing for me. You see inclusive, connective, kind of like the normal jargon. Next slide, please. But one of the coolest things that I like to do, at least when I'm designing or thinking about how to design, is I like to start with language, because I feel like language can help influence everything following it. I feel like it's kind of the seeding point. It's the number one thing that we cross. So I wrote this really quickly and kind of tossed it back to the North Shore team, just because I was like, when I was an athlete here, it wasn't as good as it is now by a long shot. We were kind of scrappy. So I wanted to bring like a little bit more elegance. So I wrote this little line: where athletes of grit and determination become legend, where great fortune awaits those with the nerve to take it. I wanted to give a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more of a swagger to the team when they come onto the field. Next, please. I wanted to take some of the brand components that we already have that we don't leverage enough. Like we talk about fight, fight, fight in our song, but I don't think I ever saw fight, fight, fight on a wall one time at my time at North Shore. So it's about leveraging things that we have that we don't even realize we don't use. Purple and white, one more, and I think the next one, yeah, so the Raiders. So this is just the type mark that I did for the logo treatment. Let me see really quickly my notes where I'm missing. No, I think I'm good actually. Okay. So after that, after I hit off language, the next step is to become really iterative. These are just like, can you go back? Yeah, sorry. Just like an assortment of some of the options I put together for the team, trying to figure out, you know, what's the balance of aggressive or playful, masculine, feminine, and where we landed, next slide, was here, which, let me read my notes really quickly. These were the number one takeaways for why I think this one worked and why we picked it. One, it's simple. Anyone can draw it. You want people to draw your logo, especially when they're kids, especially when they're seeking a sense of belonging. It's for boys and for girls. We don't know if it's a man or a woman. It's energetic, young, and fast. No more bearded, no more 45-year-old male. And probably most importantly for me, it's swaggy. And it helps our athletes because it's really true. If you look good, you play good. So then I guess the rest of the sides we can kind of go pretty quickly. This is one color, how it looks, one color, it looks nice. Here's a lockup with the new typeface for North Shore Country Day School. It's really important when I'm presenting to contextualize things, to bring energy and get people really excited about how we'll come to life. So some gear, a flag, everybody needs a pin. And then I took a quick stab, I think this is pretty future focused, but on what the new uniforms could look like with the new typeface, patterning, and logo. And that is it. Any questions? I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nico. You will see some of these logos out today when our teams are playing. Hopefully you'll stick around and you'll be able to see some of the games. And hi, Nina. Thanks for coming. It was great to have you. As we talk about the athletic program and as we start to wind up here, one last part of our presentation. You've all experienced in your time here participation in athletics and the arts, and they are, as we still say, fundamental. One way that we recognize the significance of athletic participation is through the J. Bach Iron Raider Society, co-chaired by Chris Charnas, class of '83, and Charlie Ingram, class of '75. So now, I'm hoping they're here because I can't see them. I'd like to welcome our longtime athletic director, Patrick McHugh, and coaching legend, Jay Bach, to the stage for our Iron Raider recognition.
Good morning, everybody. It's tough to get me off the field or out of the gym on homecoming Saturday, but Nancy did it. And she gave me a couple points she wanted me to speak about before I hand this over to our living legend here, which is our namesake for this special acknowledgement. And I might go a little bit off script today because I'm thinking today about my first couple of years here. I'm now the longtime athletic director, but it didn't seem that long ago that I got here, and I was convinced by a woman by the name of Julie Hall to be the athletic director. And Julie talked about this school as being magical. And that's always been a theme in my life here at the school. And when I hear alums like Rocky and Nico talk about the school, it's so fascinating as a person who's worked at the school so long about how they talk about the influence of the school beyond their years here. And I think there's a very different aspect of this school compared to many others because of the influence of it throughout the rest of their lives. And it's gratifying to hear that. I'm going to tell a little story about a book I read this past year called Range by a guy by the name of David Epstein. David grew up around here. He went to ETHS. He was a runner like I was. And he's now a very famous sports writer. And he had a debate with Malcolm Gladwell that influenced the start of the book. And debate was, how would you like to grow up? As Tiger Woods or Roger Federer? Well, we won't go into all the details of that debate, but I think we could all agree that to a certain extent we'd like to be Roger Federer. And the difference in Roger Federer's youth compared to Tiger Woods' youth is the broad background in athletics across a broad experience that eventually led to a match quality in tennis, which probably is one of the most successful athletes in any sport of the last 20, 25 years. And that's what we're trying to do at North Shore. We're trying to give you this broad experience, which will lead to a match quality later in life that will produce such success like Rocky and Nico, wherever their paths go, and whatever accolades or lack of them, or whatever you want to call that in life, they are involved in passionate pursuits that we hope all our alums will reach. So it's really an honor to be the athletic director here and hear these kinds of stories and the influence of athletics in their lives. We're very proud of what we've been able to do, and the Jay Bach Iron Raider Society honors, first of all, Jay, who's been a tremendous example of the magic of the sport, of the school, and of the influence of athletics beyond just athletics. And it acknowledges those students who've been involved in 12 seasons of athletics in their high school career. And I think there are a couple other things, Nancy, you want me to do before I ask Jay to speak a little bit. But one is, could the Iron Raiders in the audience stand up? And I believe we have maybe some new Iron Raiders, or I think there was one other thing, but I'm going to turn this over to Jay because I've talked enough, and Jay can take it from here.
Okay, I'd like to welcome back all of our alumni. It gives me great pleasure to see alumni come back and renew relations again. It's just a pleasure for me and my wife to see all of you come back every year. And I'd like to congratulate Rocky on his Stanton Award today. And, I remember Nico when he was about like this, okay? I used to drive a bus before school and pick up students and bring them to school, and oh man, I got to go way out to Glenview and pick up Nico again this morning. But that was a long time ago, and I'm sure he probably remembers that as well. So, but welcome back, Iron Raiders, and if anyone is an Iron Raider who has not received their Iron Raider pin, I think Nancy's going to have a little gathering out by the bell when we get through here. So welcome back and enjoy the weekend here. We got great weather so far, and hope it'll extend throughout the day. Thank you.
Thankfully, Nancy has reminded me of the two other things she'd like me to speak about. One is when we started the J. Bach Iron Raider Society, we had 2 or 3 seniors every year. And now last year and the last couple of years, we've had well over a dozen Iron Raiders each of those years. So it's really caught on this, again, in a time when youth sports is very focused and specialized. It's certainly caught on at North Shore and will continue. And lastly, all the Iron Raiders, we'd like to take your picture out on the front steps of the auditorium together. And we'll do that next. Nancy? Okay. Oh, we have one song before we do that.
Okay, we're in the home stretch here. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Coach Jay. Like I said earlier, this is our 103rd year of school. All of them right here at 310 Green Bay Road, which is amazing if you think about it. Because starting a new school here in Winnetka in 1919 was a remarkably optimistic and audacious thing to do. Coming out of a brutal war, this school was an affirmation of humanity and connection. The fact that we are still here, the resilience and continuing relevance of our approach to education that you've heard about, that you saw with all of our speakers and all of our students, that's what we celebrate today, this weekend, and all year long, along with all of the people who have made it happen, including all of you. And that's what homecoming means, along with celebrating school spirit and athletic participation and success. So what else do you have to look forward to for the rest of this weekend? We have a full slate of athletic contests today, a couple more games coming up as we leave, including soccer and field hockey. Please support our student athletes. They do a great job, and our coaches as well. We have some gatherings to connect and share fellowship. We have tours of campus coming up later if you'd like to see what these buildings are looking like today. So this weekend and the entire school year, we celebrate dear old North Shore. But we don't simply celebrate our survival for 100 years, we celebrate the vibrancy and enduring urgency of the founding principles of our school. We celebrate the thousands of students who have left here with the skills and the confidence, and maybe most importantly, the impulse to serve their world, to make it a little bit better than they found it. And that's what it means to graduate from this place. That's what it means to live and serve. And that is worth celebrating. So thank you for being a part of this very special community and for carrying the purple and white torch out into the world. Thank you for all that you do to make this transformative education available to our current students. We couldn't do it without you. And so as we end this gathering and join the community out on the fields, I hope that you'll join Mr. Tim Ma, who's our middle and upper school chorus director and music teacher, to sing "O'er the Fields." Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. It's great to have you.
Suppose we should stand, Dr. Fleming?
Sure.
Since the chorus is asked to stand when they sing their hearts out?
That's right. You've got to get the full projection.
All right, so we're doing this one, right? No, we're not doing, wrong song. All right, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ma. Have a great day, everyone. Go Raiders.